friends, welcome to my channel 5 Minutes History. In this video, let's explore the history of magnificent Ajanta Caves, the rock-cut marvel of ancient India. Thousands of years back, ancient Indian sculptors started chiseling a huge face of rock in Ajanta village in Aurangabad District of Maharashtra, India. With primitive tools, they kept shaping this rock face bit by bit. Thousands of tons of rock was chiseled over many generations. Finally, they were able to carve massive entrances, then huge pillars and deep halls. Then in these halls, they carved Buddhist chaityas or prayer halls, viharas or monasteries, and decorated the walls and pillars with exquisite friezes, paintings, etc. A total of 30 such rock cave monuments were built. This is how Ajanta Caves came into existence, one of the largest monolithic structures on the planet. The Ajanta Caves are rock-cut Buddhist cave monuments which date from 2nd century BC to about 6th century CE. These are among the greatest surviving specimens of ancient Indian rock-cut architecture, exhibiting magnificent forms of Buddhist art, paintings and sculptures. These caves were built in two phases, the first starting around the 2nd century BC, probably under the patronage of Hindu Satvahana dynasty, and the second occurring from 5th century to 7th century CE during the Gupta period. The Satvahana group of caves consist of rather plain chaitya halls and viharas. They emphasized more on stupa and displayed stories from Jatakas, that is, the literature concerning previous births of Gautam Buddha. Once the excavation ended for these caves, the site was not further developed until the 5th century. However, they were still in use and Buddhist pilgrims visited the site, according to the records left by Chinese pilgrim Fahian around 400 CE. Later caves built during the Gupta period display more artistic features and figurative sculptures typical of the time. More emphasis was given to theistic Mahayana or great vehicle tradition of Buddhism. Not only new caves were excavated during this time, but earlier caves were refurbished and repainted. Excavation began by cutting a narrow tunnel at roof level, which was expanded downwards and outwards. The majority of the caves are viharas or the monasteries with symmetrical square plans. There are halls with a shrine appended at the rear, centered on a large statue of Buddha, with detailed reliefs near him as well as on the pillars and walls. Some of the halls are centered around a stupa and surrounded by pillars and a concentric walking space for circumambulation. Some of the caves have elaborate carved entrances, some even with large windows over the door to admit light. The Ajanta cave paintings are described as among the finest surviving examples of ancient Indian art. One can find earliest surviving specimens of Indian faces, dress and forms at Ajanta. These paintings were meant to impart to the community the teachings of Buddha and his experiences during his various reincarnations. Devotees were supposed to walk through these caves and read the paintings, which were used as a medium of communicating Buddha's teachings about life through successive rebirth. The Ajanta cave paintings are famous for their masterful line work, sensual forms, the use of natural pigments, and the artistry achieved with only primitive tools. And we must remember that the artists were viewing them in semi-darkness with just some weak oil lamps to help make out the figures. There are murals of handsome princes, nobles and beautiful princesses on couches, while narrow-waisted dancing girls perform beside lotus ponds. In contrast, there are also paintings of stark ascetic renunciation, a shaven-headed orange-robed monk lost in meditation and a hermit seeking salvation. Dominating everything are portraits of bodhisattvas, of otherworldly beauty, elegance and compassion, eyes half closed, swaying on the threshold of enlightenment.